Yeesh. This one is tough, but I can at least say I have been in this situation. I've actually been in this situation with two different guys at two different stages of my life. Guy number 1, when I was 19, he didn't have a car, he didn't have any friends in town, and all of his family lived far away. I'd taken him with me when I went to college at Troy. Things were fine for a month or so, but he could not hold down a job to save his life. He was 21. It became too much because I worked full-time as a waitress, I was taking a full course load at school and had an academic scholarship to maintain. I was the only one with a car, we had 2 other roommates who were also without vehicles, and I paid all the bills because he couldn't. Then around December I became attracted to a coworker and tried to propose breaking up. He locked himself in our bathroom and threatened to kill himself. So, in my attempt to be mature, I proposed a break, where we would still be together somewhat but we could see other people. I had 3 rules: no hooking up with each other's friends or coworkers, if we had sex to be safe and use protection, and though we weren't required to volunteer information about our activities outside of the relationship, if the other person asked questions then we had to be honest. So we continued to live together and be civil, and we each did our own thing. Then a few months later I found out that the one girl he decided to sleep with was one of our roommates, my friend and coworker who I'd let move in with us because her parents kicked her out and she had nowhere to go. Fucking fantastic. So yeah, it took all of that to happen before I stopped feeling sorry for him and worrying about how he had nowhere else to go. Guy number 2, when I was 23, we'd been together for a few years. At one point I thought he would be the one, and he too had issues with being able to cover his share of expenses. Yeah, I was a real loser magnet back then. I was stuck in a lease with him when I realized I didn't want to be with him anymore. Before I proposed us breaking up, I suggested we live apart once our lease was up. That was 4 or 5 months away at that point, so I figured he had plenty of time to figure something out. Our last month of our lease had arrived and we had about 20 days left before it was up when suddenly his plans fell through. He had planned to move in with a friend of his in town, but for whatever reason his friend backed out last minute. So at that point he had nowhere else to go, and the old familiar guilt was settling in as I began to feel like it was my responsibility to keep a roof over his head. In the end he ended up leaving town and moving in with his dad 3.5 hours away, and no, he wasn't happy about it. What did I learn from these exes, and what is the lesson I'm trying to share with you? It is not your responsibility to make sure that they are okay. Also, in both cases the whole "he has nowhere else to go" thing was total bull. They both had somewhere else to go, they just didn't want to go to the only other place they could go. I.e., neither wanted to have to go back home and live with their parents, and that was their only other option besides living with me. And what if, you may ask, they really don't have anywhere else to go? Well, I'll share this with you. Guy number 3, when I was 26, another loser, I'd moved in with him after he begged me to. He treated me like a literal princess for the first 2 months. The 3rd month he started cheating on me, lied about it when I confronted him with proof, then within a week of that happening told me I had 48 hours to get my shit out of his apartment and find somewhere else to go. And I really didn't have anywhere else to go. I crashed with a coworker for a few days and otherwise lived out of my car. Oh, and I had to abandon a lot of my belongings at the ex's apartment because those 48 hours I had were mostly spent working, plus I had a Honda Civic and nowhere to move all of my stuff, so it was pretty much, take only what's necessary and will fit in your car. Thankfully my sister took pity on me, and out of her fear for my well-being she had me move in with her. The point of this little nugget? Ask yourself, if the tables were turned, would they give a shit about you not having anywhere to go? Quite possibly not. Super long story short, it's not your responsibility to figure out how they will survive if they don't have you to lean on. They will figure it out. They'll have to. What kills us only makes us stronger and all that.